Okay, I'd like to bring the Upper Moreland Township Community Development Committee meeting for June 10th, 2024 to order. Here we have commissioners, DeMond Mullen, Nick Scull, myself, Kit McFatridge, Pat Stasio, Township Manager, is here. Jim Hirsch from Gilmore Associates is here, and Sean Kilkenny from Kilkenny Law, and Paul.
He does it all.
Yeah, and Paul Pertell, our code enforcement. So with that, next we'll have a moment of silence, please. And if you would all stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any announcements, Pat?
No.
Okay. Presentations?
No presentations.
Okay. Roll call already. Dave, approval of the minutes from May 13th, 2024. Any changes?
No.
I have
Okay. They'll go moved into the record. Land development, I'm going to take these in a little different order, just so you know. Let me see here. First, Cloud 10. Which one we got? Oh, it's only down. Okay, that would be new business. It's going to be quick. Request for 1852 Hatboro LLC for an additional waiver of street tree requirement from previously approved land development application for the proposed Cloud 10 car wash at 4290 Davisville Road. This was already approved, this whole development project, and it sounds like after they really got into it and they're ready, 2 trees are above sewer easements or something. If you'd like to come up, just tell us your name and.
Good evening, Adam Davis with Highland Engineering. First off, thank you for adjusting the schedule. So just to recap a little bit, we were before you last year, we received conditional approval. We resubmitted the plans to address the few outstanding comments that we had as part of the conditional approval, and realized with this, we would need this additional, partial waiver request. So the partial waiver is for, the waiver request says 3 street trees. It's actually 2 street trees along County Line Road. That's due to the existing or proposed sewer lateral that would run up adjacent to the improvements and the right-of-way line. The stacking lane that is parallel to County Line Road is only, give or take, 10 feet from the right-of-way line itself, and putting a sewer lateral in that easement or in that area would not allow for that 10-foot separation requirement. And we can't snake the sewer lateral within the site because of the existing subsurface basin that's there that we're utilizing.
Okay, so the only reason you're here is for 2 trees because they can't,
Correct.
you can't build on top of it.
Correct.
Do you have any questions, Paul? You okay with this?
No, yeah, I mean,
Good.
they really don't have a choice.
Okay, you're good.
Yeah, I don't have an objection. There was a fee in lieu for the other deficiencies in the landscaping ordinance. Is that your intention?
Yeah, we could provide a fee in lieu for the additional
Yeah,
one.
so we'll work that out ahead of the July 1st meeting, Kip.
All right, any questions from the board?
Not at all.
Minimal.
No, I'm good.
Any questions, any other commissioner comments? Any other public comments? Okay, we'll move this for approval, July 1st. July 1st, is that the next one? Okay, July 1st.
Great, thank you so much.
Okay? All right, good, thank you. Next, I'll take Trico Willow Grove LP land development application for a proposed Starbucks cafe at 1130 Easton Road. The zoning and the conditional use, all that stuff was done quite a while ago. They worked with us then to move it to the right-hand side of the driveway. So now we're just into the regular land development.
Yes, sir.
So, name and, we know what you're here for now, but.
Yes. CJ Bach, I'm a civil engineer with Land Corps representing Trico in this application for land development preliminary and final. In conjunction with the request for application for approval, there's a litany of waivers mostly related to landscaping and some impractical requirements relative to the small nature of the development or redevelopment, should I say. The development is a 1684 Starbucks. It's got a drive-through. Do we have the electronic presentation? Do you have that? The thing I emailed?
You can plug your laptop into it.
Do you guys want the plan? I can go get the.
Okay.
Oh, you just plug it right in? Oh, you need a laptop here. No, crickets, never mind. I did not know that. I thought I could just plug it in. Suffice it to say, it's a 1,684 square foot Starbucks. It's a small little building for predominantly drive-through traffic. The redevelopment of the parking lot area for the Starbucks has 14 spaces and can accommodate up to 16 cars in the queue. We are proposing to do a small rain garden inside of a landscape island inside of this parking area. There are some waivers related to the performance of that based on the in-situ soils have poor infiltration capacity. So it's more of an extended detention facility with a slow release. And for that, there are two waivers we need relief for, namely the recharge requirement and the duration of our recovery for the system, because it takes a little longer for it to bleed out.
Okay. Your waivers, do you want to just go down one by one with
I
the
can,
waiver?
yep.
Because the rest of it, you're compliant anyway,
Yep.
right?
Yes, we will comply. We've already addressed all the township's comments. We met with staff, and we're confident we can address all the comments.
Okay,
The waivers, as I had mentioned about the infiltration rates and the drawdown time for the stormwater basin. We are asking for a waiver to use a curb with a 6-inch reveal so that we can match the other curbing on the plaza.
okay.
Where the ordinance requires 8.
I'll tell you what, let's, one by one,
Yes.
we'll just ask a question one by
ahead.
one. The first one, the infiltration.
Yes.
Jim, you agree with that?
Yeah, no objection.
Okay, so there, so if the subsurface is that, you can't do it, and you're playing a rain garden instead.
It's a rain garden with some underdrain in the biomedia that allows for recovery of the system, but it just takes a longer time than the 72 hours that you would normally do for a basin.
Okay, does anybody have a question on that? Any other commissioners? Anybody from the public? Okay, we're okay with that one. Go ahead. Next one was your 6-inch reveal.
The next one is the reveal on the curb, yes.
It's 6 inches instead of 8 inches. What almost everybody does. Nobody has a complaint on that? No? Yeah, that's a normal. Okay,
Number 4 is a waiver request from showing all the trees on the site in our survey, namely the site, the areas and the trees all around beyond where we're developing. It's a big shopping center that we're looking to redevelop, just a small portion of it, so we asked for a waiver from showing and identifying all the trees on the property, so to speak.
are you taking any trees down because of where you're building this? It's all parking lot.
There are a couple trees in the areas where we're doing utility connections in the frontage, but beyond that, no.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Next.
The next one is a requirement for street trees, and again, as I noted, there's utility services and the like in the small section of frontage that we're in the corner of the development. So it's a very small area of frontage, and unfortunately, there's already utilities in there, and we're actually going to put a couple more in there.
For the shade trees, are they,
So they already exist for most of the predominant of the frontage of the shopping center. We're using about 25% of the frontage, And for that 25%, we can't, 25% of the frontage, we can't meet the street tree requirement. There's
I was gonna say-
utilities in conflict.
Most of them are there already,
Yes.
so.
And the ones south of the driveway, obviously, we're not touching any of that stuff, so that'll all remain.
Okay. Anybody have a problem with that? Okay.
So I'll just make my comment in general for all these landscaping type requirements. It is a small development, as he said, but so in that case, I didn't expect to see a bunch of landscape waivers. It doesn't seem like a hardship I'd like to see them comply with more of our requirements for the landscaping.
You want to see what?
I would like to see them comply with more of our requirements related to the landscaping.
Okay.
I mean, no. I mean, this is a small development. I was really surprised that there would be this many waiver requests related to landscaping.
Yeah, we were able to meet the predominant of the requirements for landscaping. It's mostly these street trees in the frontage, where again, there's meters, there's large vaults for the utilities. You know, in order to make the utility connections, there would be no feasible location to put any trees in that frontage. Again, the balance of the site still has the street trees that would be required. There is existing vegetation around the periphery of our development area that we're not touching and enhancing with a lot of proposed trees.
Okay, we might come back to that one, number 5.
Okay.
Let's move on. You're up to number 6 here.
Requires 4 straight trees or ornamental trees and 10 shrubs per 100 foot of property perimeter. Again, the property perimeter, we're only doing a small region inside of this development. We just don't have anywhere to plant that many trees, regardless of how you may approach the calculation for, you know, what would be the property perimeter. I mean, to the extent we are proposing 10 shade trees and
Okay, you're,
22 evergreen trees.
Okay, your other trees.
Yes.
Where specifically are they going if you're looking at this project as you're driving in?
They will be all along the driveway queue along the northern boundary.
He's going to hook his up so you
Okay.
can just go right off of that.
Sure,
And
thank
that
you.
way,
I would appreciate that.
yeah.
See, this is weird. So you can go up and down.
We'll just work just this. How do we get up? And then we're good.
Think that-
There we go. Good, Paul. Okay, let's jump back to 5 real quick.
Sure.
Because they are street trees that we're looking at.
Correct.
There for 4 new street trees because of the square footage.
Yes, these trees in here are going to be impacted by the proposed utility connections. And then just north of these trees, you can see there's 2 very large utility structures up here. So between our utility connections and the existing utilities, it's impractical to meet the street tree requirement for this portion of the,
Are you taking all those out?
they have to come out, yes. These ones here, not the ones
Yeah,
south below
right.
the driveway.
Why wouldn't the utilities just go straight into your
Well, the
property?
meter for the water source, the source for water is here in this box.
Yep.
And the sewer, there's an interceptor that bifurcates through here, but the utility has told us that they want us to utilize, and of course it dies on me, They want us to utilize a stub they left for us that actually is kind of right in the middle where those trees are. So there's a stub waiting for us right there at the, kind of the taper, kink of the taper in the turn lane on 611. There's a utility stub for a sanitary connection. And that's where it's left for us. So no matter how I go to get to it, I impact the critical root zones of those trees, which I'm sure she.
What were you
will tell
planning on putting there?
Excuse me?
What was going to go there once you take the trees out? Just grass?
It's, I think it's just proposed as just grass at the present.
Okay. Oh, it's up there.
I just wanted to say that maybe our landscape architect could help them figure out where to put more trees and not have a lot less trees rather than more trees.
I was just wondering, is there any trees from the other side of the driveway going up the hill, the left-hand side of the property? No, come straight down.
They're proposing.
Yep, yeah, as you go up the street in that direction. No, the other way. It's not on the picture, going up Easton Road from here?
Yeah.
Going, let's say, down.
Right.
Okay. Are there any there?
There are existing street trees all through there, yes.
But it's not dense, it's not densely like that, though, because you can see the building.
There are several trees down there, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so there is the possibility of adding, maybe it's not in front, maybe it could just be small shrubs, but you might be able to get.
This one here, obviously, we're not, I don't believe we're impacting that tree.
So there's two mature street trees along the frontage. You said one is impacted by the sewer lateral connection. And
Yes.
what's going on with the other one?
And this one here would be for the sidewalk connection.
No, I think there's two in the front and then one on the corner. But I mean, based on the street view.
Yeah, I'm just, from what I can see here on the plan, these two here would be, I believe it's two, these two trees here would be impacted by the utilities.
Yeah, you said the sewer lateral connection and then there's another, what else is coming in off there?
Well, again, the water, we're gonna traverse the frontage to get to the water vault that's up, that square up there in the northeast corner of this plan view. So we're running the utilities through that green space behind the curb. And that's where those trees are.
Okay.
That might have to come back to our plan, to our landscape architect, because I wouldn't be happy with just grass in front of that. It's just, you're just opening up
Yeah,
everything.
We could definitely look at ornamentals and things of that nature.
That's what I mean, I think you got to work that out with our landscape
Okay.
engineer. Okay, so for number 5, I would like, and Jim, you should take that down, number 5.
Yeah, that's
Look
fine.
at that.
We'll work with them on the species and try to
Okay,
get
and then the
one tree in there.
the 25% of shrubs and evergreens. We have nowhere to put that on here, or,
Well, I guess if we can, maybe we'll end up putting them all up in the front. We'll put them up there.
okay,
You know, there's an easement for the sewer interceptor that we got to be sensitive to. Again, that goes right through where those trees are. But we're committed to plant what we can.
okay. So 5 and 6, you'll work out with our landscape engineer.
Yes.
Okay, now you can go on to 7.
7 was actually a request by our landscape architect who wanted to use these reblooming azaleas. Apparently, they'd been reclassified as an evergreen shrub, which violated this standard for maximizing the number of evergreen shrubs in the total shrubs provided at 25%. So landscape architect said we should ask for this, which we do have a landscape architect for the project.
Yeah, and this was requested with your initial submission?
Yes.
And our landscape architect did not have an objection to this request. Kip.
Okay, yeah, that's just designating evergreen. Okay, so if we jump from 6, go to 7.
The number 7 and requires, that's number, yeah, it was number 7, so number 8.
I'm sorry.
Number 8 and number 9 really relate to the small landscape island, doesn't meet the minimum standards for the size and shape of a landscape island. We kind of maximize the meat of the landscaping we could bring to bear down in here so that we can do as big of a feature down on that end of the site. But in order to do the pass-through for access to the trash, bifurcating the island, we would need relief from the requirement of 15 and 20-foot minimum dimensions and a minimum square footage of 300 square feet. Similarly, we're asking for relief on irrigating that island. And the rain garden island, as a matter of course, both islands.
I think I'm dead here on my thing. The parking spot right there, no, down, right there. What is that?
That's an accessible space.
That's a handicap, okay, that is handicap,
And accessible spaces.
okay.
And then again, we're trying to promote access to the trash.
So for this number 8, Montgomery County Planning Commission recommends that maybe they plant some trees in the rain garden. You
We had a
added
comment,
that?
we actually had a comment to do that. We were working on it.
Okay, thank you.
We had a comment already to plant the rain garden with several trees and ornamentals, and we will comply.
Okay. So we just have that one island you're saying is too small?
The one, yes, this kind of funky one down the end, yes. And we had already actually been to the zoning hearing board to get relief for the total parking over the site, to provide 355 total spaces, where I believe 402 are required. So we did give relief to get this exact number of spaces. So I'm kind of at a loss to provide any more geometry.
Does anybody have a problem with not landscaping the one small island there next to handicap?
No.
Okay.
What would go there though? Just dirt? What would,
We actually do have shrubs and ornamentals, so, landscaping will propose in there.
but no irrigation to water?
What's that?
No irrigation?
The site is maintained by a professional landscape company, and they'll manage and maintain and water as necessary.
I'm fine.
Okay. All right, go ahead, move on.
The next one is relative to 12 spaces in a row without an island. We requested the waiver mostly for the existing condition. We thought it prudent to point out that the parking lot of the entire plaza has rows of 12 spaces without an island. Our redevelopment area does not, but because it is, again, it's in the entire plaza, we were instructed we should ask for that.
As of right now, that's all blacktop, where
Yes,
the parking's
where we're
going.
at, yeah, where we're doing, and in fact, I think that area there has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 spaces, looks like in a row. But there are other areas you can see south and west of us that have, long rows without islands.
Yeah, we used to allow that all the time. I don't even think it was a requirement.
Yeah.
When that was built.
Now the requirement is 12 max without an
yeah.
island.
Okay. I'm all right with that. Everybody else?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we moving? I'm sorry. Ahead of myself.
You okay?
Yep, move.
If that's all the waivers.
No, I have two more, I'm sorry.
more? Oh,
Yeah.
that's why I was-
Number 11 was relative to, again, trees and the ability to plant. And again, we're committed to plant as many trees as we can do. Just, I felt like at the frontage wasn't practical. So that was number 11 regarding tree replacements and the ability to satisfy tree replacement criteria.
Jim, is everything okay with that?
I mean, I would agree that they have limited space around the perimeter to plant trees. I think during a staff meeting, we talked about either a donation to, or, commitment to plant those elsewhere in the township, or a fee in lieu, which we could work out.
Okay, if you can work that out, then, because it is solid all the way around the perimeter, and there's a woods behind it.
Right.
Lynette, do you have something?
Just want to say that I do agree with Cheryl that they should try and put as many plantings in as possible. And remember native species?
Speak up, I couldn't hear.
Native species? And
Native?
right, I mean, they should be considering mostly native species, right?
Yes.
And if you need some sources, I can give them to you.
And our last waiver was a partial waiver to use an aerial plan to supplement the requirement to show features within 400 feet of the subject property.
Okay, and that one, we waive all the time, because,
And those were
It's not like
all
a-
our waivers, which I think it seems like just planting, and more plantings in the frontage could do it, and certainly we're willing to comply with that.
before we would move on, I would want to make sure that you work out with Corey and our landscape number 5, 6, and make sure something's across the front of that property, even if it can't be trees because of the
Well, it's that maybe
utilities.
there's ornamentals, or there's, perennials, there's other things we can dress up the frontage with. Again, the large trees wouldn't be
Yeah.
prudent with all the utilities.
Okay. So you'll follow up with Jim and Corey with us on that. Let me see. If you get that straightened out, bring that to us next month, or at least the actual plan of that. I don't think you're ready for July until we see all this, so you would want to wait till August and get all this information in July at our next meeting, okay? Sure. So you can work out those things with the landscape and stuff, and then we'll see you in July. And basically that, does anybody else have any
Oh, yeah.
other problems and stuff?
Totally unrelated to this. I'm thinking about if you ever tried to turn into Home Depot, you always either have to wait for the light, or if you're across the street at the auto parts store. Anyway, you're gonna add a lot of additional traffic. Is there gonna be a change in the traffic light or the traffic flow, or am I in the wrong part of this?
No, I was going to say that's a good question. Bowman recommends that there be a condition that the owner fix any circulation issues that come up later.
Okay, I would agree.
Okay, Paul?
Did you?
Circulation of the traffic, and
Yes,
we do have the
that's a
red light.
comment from Bowman. They just have to reach out to PennDOT. They have to discuss with PennDOT, and we'll need some sort of approval or okay from PennDOT that they don't have to do anything to the traffic signal.
Okay, just try and get that done by July.
And then just one more thing.
Yes.
Per the Montgomery County Planning Commission letter, to look at improving the bus stop shelter, and any changes, because they're doing a whole new bus route plan. So have you reached out to SEPTA yet?
They can contact them, but they don't build those. Those are done by whoever is contracted with SEPTA.
Yeah, I thought a lot of times the developer will improve the bus stop shelter.
I'm not sure. Sean, can we force them to put a bus shelter? They'd have to, first of all, SEPTA would have to require it, or
Can we force them to put
on a land development.
I do not think we can, well, you could always place it as some kind of condition on land development. I don't know if the court would view that as a reasonable condition. You of course could ask.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's in the Montgomery County, whatever we can do, maybe we can, but it is in the Montgomery County Planning Commission letter, and I do think it's important to have good shelters for people to wait for the bus.
Well,
Thank you.
you might remember, Cheryl, that in our township, we have a number of bus stop shelters, and they were paid for by the people who want to put advertising on them. So that might be a possibility.
I guess what we want to know is, will they designate the area 5 by 10 area on the corner where the bus stop is for whoever the advertising company would be to put one in,
Okay.
okay? And that's,
Yeah, I mean, that would be in the public right away. I mean, we're certainly amicable to want to help with the SEPTA rollout of all shelters everywhere, but, you know, relative to our land development, our time to construction, it sounds like it could be something kind of thing I could get stuck in for a long time.
okay, then, Paul and Jim?
Yeah, there is a contact at SEPTA, with similar situation with the Olive Garden. They did reach out to SEPTA, the person that handles the bus shelters.
Okay,
We can certainly provide them with that information.
okay.
If that's the case, I'm happy to reach out.
I have one more thing. So along Easton Road, where you're technically going to remove those trees.
Yes.
So you have the driveway where people will be waiting to get their orders.
Yes.
So if you're thinking about replacing that, think about privacy and safety, because people do walk up and down that sidewalk.
Out here on 611.
Yes, so think about privacy and safety, because people could be sitting in their cars and people could be looking in their cars when they're walking. So if you're thinking about replacing that, yes, trees are fine, but think about some thick
That's what we were
bushes.
saying,
yeah.
bushes,
Yep.
you know, hedges, ornamentals,
Yep.
grasses.
Yep.
I think there's some
Something
other
high and
stuff we
thick,
can get
yeah.
in there.
Yep.
To dress it up.
Yep.
Okay. You heard the questions. You can work that out with our professional staff and be back in July.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay? Thank you.
July 8th,
Okay,
CDC.
that's good. I'm sorry.
Okay, July 8th, we've done that one. We've done this one. Now we'll go to the regular schedule. Let's go Federal Realty Land Development Application for the Wilgo Shopping Center.
Yeah, I see that. Paul, is there a technical thing I need to do besides plug right in? Looks like it
Yeah, you should
connected,
just
but-
plug right in. It's in.
All right.
Do the function F8. Do function F8,
F7?
or whatever it's on your tablet, on
Yeah.
your laptop.
I'm going back to the beginning of the.
There we go.
Federal. My computer locked up because there's so many pages.
Thank you, sir.
There we go. Now I'm back.
Can we put this down for a while? No. Okay. Okay, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, since this is a large project, we've probably met 15 times in this room, probably over it. But we have 3 new commissioners that really don't know about this. If you could just give a quick overview of it, and then we can go to waivers, and then probably the facade of the garage.
Absolutely. That's what we had planned.
Okay.
For the record, I'm Jim Garrity, a land use attorney from Whistler Pearlstein and Bluebell. And I'll try to go as quickly as you want me to go.
They just haven't heard it, so I just want them to.
I understand. We have been here more than a year on this project. I'm here this evening representing Federal Realty. With me are with me are Mark Brennan and Adam Hendricks from Federal Realty. Guy DiMartino is here sitting in for Matt Hammond from TPD, and Lindsay Braylinger is also here from Bowler Engineering, our engineers, and Doug Lawton is here from our architects. And if there's any questions that you have that I'm not able to answer, somebody can certainly answer them. The property is directly across the street behind us. It is, the formal address is 10 to 170 Park Avenue. It's zone TC1. It's been under renovation for the last 3 years, and we're now up to what we call Phase 3, or the mixed-use building phase, and its associated improvements. Phase 3 is about 5.5 acres of the total 13-acre property, and that 5.5 acres is directly across the street from the municipal building. That area is currently improved with 2 somewhat outdated retail buildings, which are proposed to be demolished, and then all that area will be replaced with a 6-story building, which will have mixed uses. And just to show you the extent of the mixture, it's about a little bit over 20,000 square feet of brand new retail, 9,000 square feet of amenity space, a little bit over 300,000 square feet of residential. Building H, which is our standalone building on the corner, is 5,200 square feet, and Building D, which is attached to the rest of the shopping center, is a little bit over 10,000 square feet. There will be 261 residential units, including townhouses on Park Avenue, and then 3 2 1-bedroom and studio apartments above the retail that'll face on the shopping center. Still too loud, or? Oh, we're changing pictures.
Okay, in the past, it has always been said 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom. Where are we getting 3-bedroom?
It has always been, as far as I know, 1, 2, and 3-bedroom. I've never heard a prohibition or even a request that we eliminate 3-bedroom.
I apologize. Whether that plan has changed over time, I'm not sure, but it is 1 and 2 bedrooms only. We have 2.5 baths, but it is 1 and 2 bedroom units only.
Okay, and studios, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so
Okay.
there'll be a large parking garage as well to accommodate parking for all the new residential, as well as parking for all the new retail and even some of the existing retail. Total number of parking spaces, there will be 503 spaces in the garage, added to 508 surface spaces, which will remain after construction. Under your ordinance for mixed-use buildings, a full 50% of the first floor must be retail or office, and the amount of the office space is strictly limited so that it is mostly retail. The first floor will accommodate restaurants within the shopping center part or the retail part of the mixed-use building, as well as in the 2 out parcel, or I shouldn't say out parcel, but away from the main building. Building H and Building D could also have restaurants. All of the access has been designed to cooperate with the existing access for the shopping center and line up with the township driveways that are proposed along Park Avenue for this building and for the library. The board unanimously granted our conditional use application by order dated July 17, 2023, so almost a year ago was the conditional use, and imposed 9 conditions that we already agreed to comply with. Those conditions included, just to refresh your memory, that the construction would be consistent with our exhibits, that screening the outside walls of the parking garage should be done to the satisfaction of the board, so we'll have a number of renderings to show you what that could look like. We are supposed to encourage pedestrian access and ecologically sustainable design, both of which have been incorporated into the plans. As I said before, align our Park Avenue entrances with the township driveways, and then provide all reasonable traffic improvements as would be suggested by PennDOT, the county, and the township. As I said, we've incorporated those conditions, and the Montgomery County Planning Commission review noted that the proposal was consistent with both the county and the Township Planning Commission comprehensive plans, and that letter even says that this is a well-planned proposal and provides improved pedestrian connectivity and is a good use for the site. The plans have been designed to be entirely consistent with the legislative intent expressed in your ordinance for the town center district to liven up that whole part of the township with the nighttime activities, and with this township building form a true town center. The plans propose a slight decrease in impervious surface. As you know, the existing plans were almost 100% impervious, so we are decreasing the impervious on the site, but we have all new stormwater management facilities, or mostly new stormwater management facilities to comply with your ordinances. And we have had innumerable engineering and traffic reviews by the state, county, and township, and we're now down to the point where we think we're down to very minute details. And in a second, we will show you renderings of the architecture, the landscaping, the outdoor amenities, of which there are many. And I think you're going to find that the whole thing, when it's all finished, is going to be a really nice addition to the Willow Grove neighborhood, really easy to walk to, right from these meetings someday. And I'm sure that'll be very, very nice. And it'll be lively, fun. It's got lighting, outdoor tables, all that kind of stuff. And then in the residential portion of the mixed-use building, some people to actually walk around and enliven the town and that whole area of this whole area of the township. Now, I know that from Federal Realty, Mr. Adam Hendricks would like to be the one going through quickly through the renderings and the pictures of the site and what we plan, and I'll introduce Adam Hendricks.
Thank you, Jim. Again, Adam Hendricks, Development Manager with Federal Realty. I will walk you through the package, which I believe was circulated ahead of this meeting. I do want to take the opportunity just to reiterate that this project really is the culmination of years of work in partnership with the township to redevelop what was previously an aging and archaic shopping destination within the township. This application, again, comes on the heels of years of work in redeveloping Phase 1 and Phase 2 that represented nearly a $28 million reinvestment into the township. We are looking here at Phase 3 of the application, which has been meticulously designed, reviewed, redesigned, analyzed, coordinated with the township, its stakeholders, this board included, as well as its professionals, PennDOT, and Montgomery County DOT. Really, the goal of the redevelopment was to meet some of those conditions set forth in the conditional use. You'll see what we've done in this plan is open up lines of sight in and throughout the community. We've created both pedestrian and vehicular connectivity between the existing access on Park Ave via proposed access down on Easton Road, creating some north-south or planned north-south connectivity for vehicles and pedestrians, as well as some planned east-west connectivity via proposed what we're calling Salix Drive, a new right-in from Easton Road, and an existing access point on Moreland Road. Hashed in blue are just some of the various ways pedestrians can navigate both around and through the community. And most importantly, we're trying to drive creativity down to the existing SEPTA station in the township. Finally, you'll see in green, in addition to all of the landscaping we're providing throughout the community to help drive down that impervious coverage, we have specific areas that will be landscaped and hardscaped that can be used by the community and its residents. Overall, we think this whole plan really represents our best effort as stewards of the property and partners of the community, not only to meet the intent of the zoning code, of the town center designation specifically, but also, which is everyone's goal, including that of the code, to provide the community and its residents with a mixed-use property, a destination, a meeting spot that the township and its residents can enjoy for decades to come. As Jim mentioned, we have some renderings just to walk you through quickly. You'll see, I think the first thing that jumps out here is all of the landscaping improvements we're doing focused around the new ground floor retail of that 261 unit retail building. We have open space, plaza space available for public use, as well as connectivity through the center via pedestrian and vehicular access point that meets in the middle of the property. Up on Park Ave, we have those 8 townhome apartments, which really does drive the walkability in our efforts to provide the boulevard and streetscape type feel we'd like to achieve with the development here. These units specifically are accessible via direct access from Park Avenue and provide some of that storefront residential fronting aspect of the overall redevelopment. Getting into some renderings here, I just talked about those townhomes, which you'll see here. This is looking west down Park Avenue. You'll see Building F, which is the redevelopment we just completed, across the street in the background. And then looking from the other direction, Township Building here on your left, out towards Eastern Road, you'll see the primary front, really the residential access to the property, the access to the leasing office, and the amenity space available for residents, as well as those townhomes. Additional views of the townhome and Park Avenue streetscape. Here is a view of that internal access point, some of that ground floor retail and what it can look like. Again, with the goal of creating that outdoor plaza available for public use, as well as outdoor seating for what we expect to be a mix of restaurants and retail use. Finally, getting to the garage, which we spent a lot of time on, both internally and discussing with the township. Really what we want to highlight here, and I think before I get into it, it's important to note that this gray structure here is the existing building on the corner of Easton and Park. We do not own that. We do not have the ability to develop that. So we've done our best to fade that away into the foreground and bring some focus on the new architecture we're introducing via the redevelopment. As for the garage structure, which was a point of conversation, rightfully so, both internally and externally, what we've done is bring in some of the building architecture to help shrink the overall impact of the garage structure, and then try to liven it up with some tasteful and subtle art in the middle. We've got some additional views of the property showing the residential access, the garage, the residential access to the parking garage, I should state, the parking garage structure in the background, as well as that existing structure that, again, we do not own. Grayed out so you can see, again, the overall elevation of that parking structure. And then really perhaps the most important view here is the street level view showing the retail, and what we'll really see is between all the landscaping we're proposing with the property and some of the architectural features we've introduced to the facade on the garage, it begins to really disappear in the background. I think before we open up to questions, we want to bring up Lindsay and Jim just to walk through those waivers one by one, kind of taking cue from the previous application.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lindsay Berlinger, and I'm from Bowler Engineering. I'm the civil engineer on the project. So if it's okay with you, I'll just start by going one by one for each of the waivers. Okay. So the first waiver is from section 315A9. It's a waiver from the requirement that no tree, fences, hedges, walls, plantings, or other obstruction shall be located within or permitted to grow in the right-of-way. Mm-hmm.
That work for you?
Perfect. So there are a few items that are located within,
Let me see.
got it,
Got it?
within the right-of-way at the intersection of Easton Road and York Road. This is more of a public area. In this location, the right-of-way line does not follow the curb line, so there is an open space here where there is a seat wall, some plantings, and some sidewalk within that right-of-way area. And this has been a public area that's been discussed with the township on numerous occasions.
This is an improvement, that particular property there is an improvement that the township specifically asked us to make that nice because it's so visible. So we have put that seating, that sort of shallow U-shaped bench there, and it is in the right-of-way, believe it or not, because when the improvements for that intersection were done, the right-of-way wasn't changed. So the right-of-way comes very, very close to the building, actually, as it exists today, and there was really no choice to spice up that intersection very much without going a little bit into the land between the legal and the ultimate right-of-way.
curb line will stay the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Can I go on to the next one? Okay. So the second waiver is from section 315B, which is a waiver from the requirement that Park Avenue must have a minimum cartway width of 30 feet. The project does not propose any modifications to Park Avenue currently. The Park Avenue right now has a 24-foot wide width, so we are just maintaining that existing condition on the frontage of this portion of development in front of the mixed-use building. So it's 24-foot cartway in order for us to install the parallel spaces.
And then you're putting parking outside of that?
That's correct. So the 24-foot wide cartway width, and then
Okay.
there are some parallel spaces
And it'll go to
along the frontage as
The
well.
32 in front of the building, okay.
Correct. Should I go on to number three?
Go ahead, we'll go
Okay.
right through them.
Number 3 is from section 315C, which is a waiver from the requirement that streets bordering the subject property shall meet the minimum required right-of-way and cartway width requirements. So that is, again, referring to the waiver that I just discussed on Park Avenue for the cartway width.
Hey, Sean, in this, do we have, are they building at their own risk in the right-of-way if the state would come in to move, widen the road or anything like that? I mean, we don't care because we want the extra space. Is it at their own risk, though, if they put this stuff in the right-of-way?
So, is it their own risk? Well, if we are going ahead and allowing it and permitting it, then it would probably come back on us as well. Because part of our
Yes, yes.
If the board remembers, you had wanted parallel parking on that side of Park. So from curb to curb, it will be wider wherever we put that parallel parking. And it is in the right of way, but that's kind of what you wanted, so that's what we did. So there's now parallel parking almost the whole length of Park on that side of the street.
Yeah, Park Avenue, that makes complete sense. I think Kip's question was like, if PennDOT comes through and widens Easton Road and needs to take additional right-of-way.
Yeah, down on the corner.
Yeah, and then ultimately, I guess, remove those encroachments that we're going to allow within that right-of-way.
Yeah, I was going back to the last one.
Yeah, oh, you went one back.
Yeah, as soon as I heard the right-of-way, I started thinking again.
That is a little bit of a tricky issue which we can resolve later, but basically, if there's a note on the plan that says we're offering the land between the legal and the ultimate right-of-way, on that part, right at that intersection there, they're the same line. So our bench is in the right-of-way, and the question will come up, if somebody says, hey, I want to widen the road, then who theoretically, and I say theoretically because I haven't discussed it yet, reimburses us for the bench and the trees and the sidewalk and the landscaping and all that stuff that we put in there that it will be ripped out for a wider road.
I want to know the legal part from us.
It would be probably whoever's doing the project.
Right.
So if it's a
Okay.
PennDOT project, then it would be PennDOT.
PennDOT
that would
paying
be
for it, we're not.
acquiring the right-of-way and compensating them for
That's
the-
what I wanted to hear. I just wanted to make sure
That's what I think.
we're not at risk to have to pay for something like that later.
No, you're not, Kip. I don't think you're at risk for that if it's a state road. The question is, if we sign a deed of dedication, and there's no proposals for deed of dedications, but if we signed one, then we forego damages.
You okay?
So you want, yeah, I'm okay.
Okay. As long as you're okay, that's all I want to know. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to go into number 4. From section 317F, a waiver from the requirement that parking stall dimensions shall not be less than 9 feet in width. So all of the perpendicular spaces on site are all 9 feet. This is only referring to the parallel spaces that are 8 feet in width. And this is already proposed for the other parallel spaces that were part of the prior development. So we're just maintaining the consistency.
Okay, just continuing it
Correct.
down the street.
So number 5 is from section 318C, a waiver from the requirement that on public street sidewalk shall be located between the curb and the right-of-way and 1 foot from the right-of-way line. So there are a few locations, as we just discussed, where the sidewalk actually crosses the right-of-way line and is not within 1 foot of it. So that is why we are requesting that waiver. So more specifically, in this location of the property where we just discussed.
Okay,
That's what we were talking about a minute ago.
Minute ago.
The sidewalk's actually in the right of way.
yeah. Okay,
The next one, number 6, is from section 350B, a waiver from the requirement of the preliminary plan submission to be considered as preliminary/final due to the nature of the project and the number of times that we've been here. We've also prepared the plans to comply with the final plan requirements and to prepare the sufficient detail for final plans as well.
okay.
Number 7 is from section 352C1. It's a partial waiver is requested from the requirement to show existing features within 400 feet of the site being developed. So in lieu of the survey being provided within 400 feet, we'll be providing an aerial showing the 400-foot boundary from the site. We're not providing improvements up to 400 feet, so we're providing survey for the areas which we are improving on site.
That's a normal one we always, as long as we can see it visually on a Google picture, basically.
Understood.
I understand that. Go back to number 7 for a minute. What does preliminary/final mean?
Preliminary and final at the same time.
This is
Land
the final
development
plan,
What does preliminary have to do?
because we've been going through preliminaries for a
I
year.
see, okay. I got it. I was here.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Is it okay to,
as far as any of the waivers, any commissioners have anything, comments, questions on the waivers for them?
I have a couple more.
There's a couple more.
Mine only goes to 8.
There's 4 more, actually.
Why do I not have, mine stops at 8. That was 50-B, right?
Yeah, I was going off of my waiver letter, so I'm not sure
Oh,
if Jim's letter
okay.
might
I was
be
going off the
different, so I'm
plan.
sorry about that. So number 8 on the waiver letter is section 295-3B1. It's a partial waiver to request for the requirement of the 8-inch curb to use 6-inch instead. The rest of the shopping center has 6-inch. It's a standard practice as well, so we're keeping the consistency of the shopping center.
That's fine.
Number 9, from section 287-18Y6A, a waiver is requested from the requirement of the minimum pipe size of 18 inches. All of the standard pipes on site are 18 inches. However, there's a few roof drains that will be less than 18 inches. It's typical of a roof drain to be less than 18 inches in size. But however, they will be sized for the required stormwater management system and per your ordinance.
Jim, you okay with that?
Yeah, no objection.
Okay.
Number 10 from the waiver letter is from section 343A2B. It's a waiver is requested from the requirement of street trees to be planted no closer than 3 feet to any public sidewalk. There is a section along Park Avenue where between the curb line and the sidewalk is 4 feet. So in order we are planting street trees within that space. However, they're approximately 2 to 2.5 feet from the sidewalk. Centered, right. They're centered within the planting area.
But you're still planting the trees, it's just they're not going to be
Yes,
that?
correct,
there.
exactly. And then the last waiver, number 11, is from section 343D1D. A waiver is requested from the requirement to provide parking lot planting islands that are a minimum of 15 feet wide by 20 feet long. So they are 20 feet long, however, they are 10 feet wide to match the parking stall size. And within those landscape islands, we are providing the required plantings, including the trees that are required in each of the islands.
Okay, what islands are we talking about that are going to be 10 feet? All of them, let's say, between D and H?
Correct.
Okay, that's where they all are. All right,
Probably
Anybody have a
to
problem
note,
with-
right, that despite the fact that we're requesting a waiver for, we've met landscaping requirements and we're reducing impervious throughout the site.
That's correct.
Okay.
And those are all of the waivers.
Okay, now we're through all the waiver. Any questions on the waivers? Because the rest of it is basically complied. So, no questions from up here? No questions.
I'm good.
Okay, now, once we're through that, now any questions to the developer on the whole project excluding the garage wall? Outside of that, are there anybody have any questions on this project?
The project looks really nice, and I appreciate the limited waivers. So one question I had is, so the first floor is all retail or office except for along Park Avenue? Is that right? Is that still the plan?
Correct.
Okay.
Except for Long Park.
Except for Long Park. Okay, and my only concern is traffic. Especially a few places especially on Park Avenue, I know it looks like it calls for a signal, but it's too close to the other signals, so it's just very concerning, the traffic there. And a few other places, I'm not sure what recommendations there might be. I think I saw somewhere they recommended a condition that we look at Park Avenue and that western exit in like 6 months or maybe after we're complete the township building. So I want to make sure that's a condition as recommended by Bowman.
The whole intersection, you're saying between the library and them?
Yeah. But yeah, that intersection is concerning. I also the internal, I know it talked a lot about pedestrian stop signs, stop signs and pedestrian, I forget what it was, stop bars or something, but it just makes it feel like it's not going to be very walkable. So that's concerning.
I can offer a response. So I guess 2 parts, right? On Park Ave, we have been in coordination with Bowman. TPDs work closely, who may be able to shed a little more light. We've done a number of things. We don't expect we'd be permitted to add a signal. We are proposing Sure. We are proposing an all-way stop, so we are improving the existing condition of that intersection, right? Also, I believe it's IT guy, correct me if I'm wrong, parallel parking also serves as a recognized traffic calming measure as well. So there are a couple things that we've done to help reduce travel speeds along Park Avenue. Again, it's also important to note that we're adding access points to the site. So whereas today, there are only a handful of access points, we have a right-in from Easton Road. We have other abilities to enter the site. We actually have 2 proposed new access points on Easton Road. So the traffic that's going to be generated by the development will be dispersed in terms of their abilities to access the site. It's not all focused on that existing Park Avenue driveway. Internally, in terms of pedestrian improvements, really it's one centralized intersection, which is pretty critical to creating and promoting that town center feel, right? And it will be protected with crosswalks, stop signs, and the requisite striping. So I think I hear the feedback, but I do think we've come a long way and put in quite a bit of infrastructure to make pedestrian walkability viable and safe, right?
Yeah, let me just add one thing. In the 383 pages of stuff that Paul sent you in connection with tonight's agenda, one of the things is this walkway here that's shown that we were asked to put in by the township with I think, Jim, it has the blinking red lights on both ends. So that if someone wants to go from anywhere in this part of the township into the shopping center, they not only have a wide painted walkway across to our shopping center, but they also have blinking red lights facing both kinds of traffic so that they know where the pedestrians are likely to cross. I think it's called RPD or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, and they are definite. You've agreed to that.
They're on the
Okay.
plans.
Okay.
As are all those tree. All those signs that we just talked about ad nauseum are on the plans.
Okay, any other questions from the general public, any other commissioners? All right,
That's why I'm trying to picture this. So I'm inside the shopping center, I'm seeing streets, curbs, and sidewalks. Like, you know, between the road going down, sidewalks on each side.
Correct.
Okay.
okay, with no other questions, I'm jumping back in time from probably 5 meetings ago. This is from Kevin and Anthony and number D. Okay, building D. We had asked that that's glass wall on the entrance side of it, coming into the shopping center, or looking like an entry into a store, looking like. So I just went, on D, as you're looking to there, to the right side of it, as you're walking in, yes.
D.
You mean H?
You mean
H or D?
the pad site?
D.
No,
D,
he means
says
the
retail.
He means the end cap on the big building.
I'm familiar with the question. We've been a part of this conversation on D. Listen, we're very much still designing this building. We've heard that feedback. And if we don't have an existing entrance, which practically speaking, as a retail operator may not occur, we will be able to incorporate some sort of glazing or faux glazing to give that street appeal.
Because I do not want to see a split block or something wall going down there.
Shucks.
We don't design this with love.
I just want to really say that because
We've heard that
I'm going to jump
feedback.
back 7
Yeah.
years now.
I wasn't here 7 years ago, kid.
John was.
He's not here now, though, so
I know, but I am.
fair.
This started out, just so everybody's aware of this, they brought the plan of the shopping center that was there now. We met upstairs with Dave Doties and a couple other commissioners and stuff. All we did was draw a line from Easton Road all the way around the Chinese wall. And we told them it's the Chinese wall. And John looked at us like, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, go stand across the street. You guys have done a great job from that far back till now. Now we only have the back of the buildings for A, B, C, and D. And then you open up the whole corner. I think the people in Willow Grove will be happy to see that we will finally be able to stand in the intersection of York and Easton Road and see into the shopping center, see nice details of product instead of just the back of the buildings all the way around. So this has come a long way since we started this. And it's really, I got to say, you've done a good job as far as changing this whole shopping center and making it look good. With even F building, that you raised the roof up, made it all glass, nice and high instead of a 10-foot, 12-foot. It's really appealing when you can stand out front now on sidewalks and eat something. You have nice wide sidewalks, you have a lot of landscaping there. I just want to say that you guys have done a good job of changing the whole look of this shopping center. I just want to say thank you for working with us all of this time to get this to where we are now. So you did a good job. The last thing we got to talk about is the garage.
Let's go.
Uh-oh.
No, why uh-oh? Why uh-oh?
Because we have 7 different opinions.
Okay.
Do you want to explain? Do you want to run through the one you sent us? Just the differences
You sent something different?
of the looks, I'll say. That we know the garage is there. It's just a matter of, you gave us, I think a month ago, or whatever, you sent to the CDC. One was a floral thing. one-
Yeah, so we've,
If you
I guess
go
just
over
for
that,
the,
Just so we can see.
well, for the audience sake, I don't know that I have that available.
One was a roller coaster.
But we,
One's a roller coaster.
yeah, so ultimately, and I guess we can still see some feedback, right?
Yeah, we do.
But we're talking about the art in the center, right? So first and foremost, just for my own edification, is everyone comfortable with the concept of trying to shrink the impact of the garage, bring in some of that building architecture and focusing the art in the center there? Is that generally in line with the board? So now we're focused specifically on what that art looks like.
Correct.
Okay. Kip, I don't have, and I apologize, I didn't know that was going to come up. I don't have all the options we showed you, but I think it's important to note, right, that though even those were conceptual. Please, share 'em.
I was going to say.
But-
Like I said, we have 7 opinions
Yeah,
on this.
sure. And we'll take all that feedback, but everything we showed you was conceptual, right? So we didn't have a hard set one way or the other. Please. Six.
I could have just emailed them to you.
I'm just trying to nail down everything so we have everything right tonight.
Yep.
Oops. Okay.
There we go.
All right.
That's untreated.
All right, for the board.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Okay, these were the rest of the board didn't get all this well ahead of time. I think us 3 did. Explain what it is, if it's the curtain and what it's made
Yes,
of or whatever.
we had presented a couple different options. Obviously, you've got an untreated option. Where we landed and what you see in the package that we just had up, again, brings in some of that building architecture. It's not shown here, and it's essentially a mesh metal screen panel, so it's designed for longevity. It can be painted or printed on. It can also be easily replaced. That is similar from a material standpoint to what you see in the quote-unquote historic roller coaster. We also explored painted murals, fabrics, other ways to orient and position metal panels. But really it came down to 4 options if you consider the untreated facade an option. But in terms of art, right now, the option we presented are that metal panel, a painted mural, or a fabric option. And that's what you see here. Again, I think it's important. We're not necessarily sold on what you see or even what we presented. It can be a conversation if needed.
Adam, just to be clear, there's 5 vertical parts of the shopping center. I think, didn't you
Of the garage.
cover of the garage?
We did, right, we brought in
Covered
that.
the end too, so we're only talking about the 3 in the middle.
Correct.
Are any of these what you would like, do you like the steel panel? I'm going to say that to your own board. I mean, you brought it to us as another option
It's
after
the metal mesh.
like 15 options.
Right.
The option that we showed, the option that we showed you tonight is our preferred option, right? And I think Adam made a good point, right? We've been able to bring the scale of the garage to a much more pedestrian level, right? When you take the viewpoint, and these images were very early, landscape wasn't fully designed yet. The option we're showing was sort of the birch tree silhouettes is our option that we're planning to move forward with tonight.
Okay, and that's in the packet.
It's in the package, and we could bring it back up against on the other laptop. But that is where we landed as a design team to provide the most effective way to screen the garage in a manner that's not, overly bright, requires very little maintenance. And I think the bigger thing we did, and I can't stress it enough, from the Park Avenue side, you can't see the mesh fabric at all because we've extended the building architecture into the garage, right? It's a precast system. And on the eastern side, we've increased the landscape design, right? That little pedestrian area outside of retail 5, I guess it is. So even that does limit the view into the precast portion of the garage.
Okay, so that's what you would like.
Yes.
Does the board?
And the one
It's
that
the
we
one in the
provided in the
package.
package. Correct.
Correct.
That is what we're planning to move forward with.
And it will be, I'm going to assume, I'm going to ask the question kind of, from walking down the sidewalk on that side of the street, you have a lot of, the trees and stuff, we probably won't even see it. It's
At the
walking over.
pedestrian level,
It's
correct.
walking over to the other side of the street.
And even
looking
in that
across.
case, so the trees that are there will certainly block it. I think the bigger viewpoint you may get as you're coming down the hill But in general, you're going to be seeing the building architecture.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Versus the garage architecture, because we've extended that first, I think it's a bay and a half, right, of the precast. So even at that level, the building, the garage size looks much smaller.
Can I flip back and show you? We have pedestrian level renderings of what it's going to look like and how we've minimized the impact successfully. Hold on, please.
The reason I ask these questions, the staff knows all the numbers on these papers. Us looking at it is what we really see.
Right. So, no, sorry. So again, from a pedestrian standpoint, we've done a good, in our opinion at least, done a good job of minimizing the impact of that garage, right? To your point, Kip, when you're in that plaza, when you're walking down Easton Road on the development side of that road, you're going to be hard pressed to get good straight lines of sight. This thing is really going to disappear into the background between how we've treated it, how we've incorporated the building architecture, and all the landscaping improvements that we've done in the foreground. And you can see that here. And then I think even when you talk about across the street, right, you're going to have the landscaping at ground level view. There is a building that blocks nearly 50% of the structure. You might see this center panel, but again, we feel that it's thoughtfully designed, minimal adverse impact. It's not going to strike anyone as offensive, not too bright. It's a subtle addition to the garage and really is designed to make it fade into the background.
It does blend in with the trees better.
Yep.
I'm hoping I'm here long enough in my lifetime to get the trees a little higher.
I'd like to see the roller coaster. I think that really, it makes it Willow Grove. Otherwise, where is this? How
So,
far, well, I'm sorry.
No,
How
go
far
ahead.
We only have a trolley on one side of the building. And this is about Willow Grove.
I think it's a big deal that it's the 3 panels instead of all the 5. You continue the building architecture, and
Yeah.
because the building's 3. Yeah, I think it looks nice. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything to put on this? Come on up.
I think Commissioner Whiting called in and asked a question.
Okay.
Charles, does Commissioner Whiting wish to speak first?
Paddle.
I'll do that.
Oh, okay, thank you. I'm looking at the historical, did you say that, something, Commissioner Skull, about Willow Grove and this?
Yeah, I mean, this could be anywhere, but you put the roller coaster up there, people,
Well, I was thinking the same thing, because the loveliness of the other corner at Moreland is the panels that are there, on the Amazon Fresh side, as I referred to it, and they're lovely. They reflect our Willow Grove history, and I'm not sure why these trees would have been chosen when we have the willow tree potential to be chosen graphically. I'm not a graphic artist, as you well know, but I'm not sure where birch trees fit into anything that we've already done, since we have a tree motif that's pretty clear on the Moreland Road side. I would prefer it to just be, continuing. That would be my preference. Historical Commission here. Just saying.
You mean different kinds of trees?
No, a willow tree effect on this side to reflect that there's a willow tree motif, if you will, throughout this entire complex.
As an aside.
I don't know why, birches mean nothing to me here. We don't raise birch trees here.
As an aside.
Just saying.
As an aside, the treatment at the corner of Easton and Moreland Road there, I never understood that from the start. And probably 3 years ago, someone said, oh, there's going to be these beautiful panels with willow trees on them. And so I even sent pictures of willow trees because the panels were demonstrated. Instead, we have this brown stuff. I've never seen it lit up. I understand
Oh,
it's
you
pretty
haven't
with the
seen
lights
it
on.
in its-
I haven't never seen it
okay.
lit up, But,
Drive at night, it's there, and the trolley car looks fabulous. It's just that copper looking, brown looking, and now this just doesn't reflect that to me, artistically or historically.
It's not
Just saying.
historical, but I think it blends nice. That's what I think Char was getting at. It blends nice with the trees in front of it.
Okay.
all I'm saying, this is one of those, for 50 years, people are going to say, why did they do that? So, you know,
They're saying, why did we build the shopping center?
after they get over that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Commissioner Whiting had a question. He wanted some information on the Amazon Fresh building and what the status of that is, if you could elaborate a little bit on that.
I don't have an official update. We see activity in the site, in the tenant space, and it looks like they're mobilizing to do something in the near future.
That is out of your control. That is.
Correct.
It's theirs. So, okay. I think and I'll ask commissioners first. Is everybody okay with what we've seen up till now, this whole project? I mean, it's been going on for years, so it's pretty much to what we were asking, little changes and stuff. Any commissioners have anything to say about it? Bad, good, or indifferent? Okay, so basically we're okay with the whole project then. It's a matter of, they are asking us, their proposal is what we just saw on the screen. We can't tell them what we want on it. It's a matter of, we're going to get 7 opinions. Because it's a by right thing. We already gave them the parking garage and everything with the use stuff and all that. We got to figure out, are we okay with that last rendering? I mean, I thought it blended in good with the trees. Before, the trees were not there in a lot of the things. We were looking at a blank wall. I kind of like it because it blends to the landscape. I'm okay with what they say they want to build. I know you want the...
On some historical connection.
That's what the trolley was, and thank you, Adam, for coming up with that at the time.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Have any comments?
I don't have any comments, no.
Okay.
I'm good. I like what was presented, yeah.
Okay. Anthony? Okay. Ben? All right. Is everybody okay to move this forward finally for a vote?
For the July meeting?
The July meeting?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Sure.
We got 3 of us. Okay. This will be on the agenda for approval. Is there anything else that you want to say, add, or everything's good?
Not at this time. Thank you for the audience.
Okay. It'll be on July 1st.
Oh, bring it back.
Keep it, everybody's losing theirs tonight. All right. Federal's gone. BT Blair LLC, Computer Avenue. I hate computers. Give me the paper.
Which one you start with?
Yeah, that's fine. Just leave that one. Okay.
Good evening. Matt McHugh, land use attorney for the project on behalf of BT Blair LLC, who is the owner and applicant. We're here for review of preliminary final land development plans This is a project that has been through the board a number of times already, originally starting with a rezoning of the 3 parcels. The property was originally split zone, so the board changed the zoning for a uniform classification of I-limited industrial. We then were before you for a series of conditional use hearings, for which the board ultimately granted conditional use approval back in December for the development of the property as a 272-unit apartment building that was consisting of, at the time, a singular large building, 192 units in the center, and then 8 10-unit buildings around the perimeter. We then submitted preliminary final land development plans. We ultimately revised the plans from what you saw previously and eliminated one of the exterior buildings. So now there is a total of 262 units, still 192 units in the main central building. And now instead of 8 10-unit buildings on the exterior or the perimeter, there's 7 10-unit buildings. So we reduced down to 262 units. We've gone through a number of resubmissions. We've got the latest review letters from the township consultants. We will comply on all of those comments. We've got a handful of waivers, I believe 9 of them, that George Hartman, our civil engineer, can run through. But I'm happy to provide any more detail on the project or answer any questions about the project as a whole before we get into the waivers, if you'd like.
No, I thank you for eliminating another building.
Yep.
But, I know that's a new addition to what we saw before, or a little less obtrusive. Right here.
Yeah, it allowed us to provide
There
some
was a bit-
additional
there was
green
a-
space there.
I'm trying to find first where I want to be. Originally, there used to be another building there, so they took that out.
That's the original layout here. See 5 on the bottom, 3 on the top. And now the new one is only 4 on the bottom, 3 on the top.
Now, I would say run through your,
Okay, George, you want to come up and run through the waivers?
Sure.
let me find the right one here. I kept looking at the,
Yeah, so, good evening, George Hartman with Bowler. I am looking at my letter, most recently dated May 17th, which I think you should all have in the packet of materials. And most of these waivers have already been discussed on the previous projects tonight. So I'll try not to go into too much detail. The first one, section 295 3B1 was using 6-inch curb reveal instead of 8-inch curb. That's fairly common, right? 8 inches more of a tripping hazard and more typical in the road instead of on this site.
we're fine with 6-inch. We should probably change our ordinance because that's what everybody, the new standard.
The second one, section 317D, no less than 20 feet of open space between the curb line and any parking areas. So the only place that really occurs is on the perimeter buildings where we have some parking in front of the buildings. There are some spaces, there's garage spaces and there's actual surface parking. So there's parking right up against the building, kind of similar to like you'd have at your house. There's not 20 feet of space there. But around the main central building, we do have 20 feet or more of space between curbs and building.
Okay,
Good?
yep.
All right, the next one, section 317H, no less than 5-foot curb radius. So this is only occurring at the perimeter buildings again, where we've got some islands on the corners of the buildings, and it kind of gets tight radius where we've got like a 3-foot radius instead of 5-foot. But all the general parking areas around the property where we've got parking islands and everything, we've got 5-foot or more.
Okay.
All right, moving on. 343D1D is the size of the landscape parking islands. We are less than the 15 by 20 in some areas. The parking stalls themselves, we have 18 feet deep, so we don't have the 20-foot depth everywhere. We do have 15 feet wide in a number of places. We don't have it everywhere. We did look at to see if we were providing 15-foot wide by 20-foot deep everywhere, how much additional green space would that be? And do we have it on the plan? And we do. We're above the minimum green space for the project overall. And so we've got it elsewhere on the property.
Okay.
The next one was section 343D1E.
Locked up on me again.
From requiring irrigation within parking islands that are less than 300 square feet. So there's, there are some islands that are less than 300 square feet. We said, we're proposing planting species that don't require irrigation.
Computer locked up, so I'm just trying to get back to where I was.
The waiver number.
184.
184.
Just call out the waiver number when you're going to, just
sure.
be easier to follow.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm almost with you.
184.
And get-
Enter.
Okay. Now I'm back. What was that last one?
That was, so I was on number 5 on the list. That was the, to not provide the irrigation in the planting islands that are less than 300 square feet. And we've got plant materials that don't require irrigation.
But the rest of it, you will be irrigating? Or is it only the islands or not?
We're not gonna have irrigation in any of the islands.
At any of it? Okay.
We don't typically irrigate, but for maybe a few of the landscape beds right around like the leasing office or something to get the annual flowers and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Go ahead.
So number 6 was no more than 6 parking spaces in a row. We have, generally we've got between 5 and 12 spaces in a row. There is one area up here where we got 15 in a row, but we really did our best to try to minimize having long expanses of parking stalls without landscape islands. So again, looking at that one, did a calculation to see if we were gonna add all these landscape islands every 6 parking spaces, how much more green area would that add? And we do have the green space on the property, in addition to the size of the islands. Or I should say, looking at that calculation, meeting the 15 by 20, we have the green space on the property.
Okay. You're still over minimum. So, you're right.
Number 7, preservation of heritage trees. So based on the arborist report that we had submitted with our plans to the township, there are 6 existing heritage trees. 4 of those heritage trees are dead or dying. So out of the 2 healthy ones, we are preserving one of them, and the other one we are not, so we're asking for a waiver. So the one existing healthy heritage tree is in this kind of back or top left corner that we are preserving. There's another one out along Computer Ave that we're preserving that's in kind of poor condition according to the arborist report, but the other one that's in decent condition kind of falls right where the building is here. So it's really not something that we're able to save.
It's only the one tree, and which is right in the middle of the property.
Yeah.
All right, keep going.
Okay, number 8 is just a request to have it approved as a preliminary final plan, considering we've already been through a conditional use process.
Okay.
All right, number 9, last one is the partial waiver to provide an aerial plan to set up a survey 400 feet beyond the property.
same that everybody else has asked for, as they do. I'll go first with the waivers. Any commissioners have any negative comments, positive comments on the waivers?
I might have missed it. Did you mention the waiver from requirement of providing replacement trees based on a sliding scale of size?
We were able to eliminate that waiver. We had it on our original request, but we were able to eliminate, we comply.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, anybody, general public, that has a question on a waiver? Okay, everything else you're doing is by right, so it's only those waivers. With this, we did have somebody the last time talk about the wooded area, which is really not nice trees, and that is where your basin is going, correct?
Yes.
In that basin, you're planning on putting some trees? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, what you can see here on this rendered plan, so this sort of darker green area is stormwater basin, but there are some trees that we're proposing to kind of plant throughout. It's also going to have it required as part of PADP requirements because it's a managed release concept basin. We've got to have some plug plantings in there as well. Not trees, but it will be planted.
Okay. And you meet all the requirements for our ordinance for all of the rain collections and
Yes.
stormwater and
Yes.
and all that. That's most important. The only thing we didn't bring up, I don't think we did, are you putting a sidewalk on Blair Mill?
We are.
Okay, because I know some early comments, I don't
It's-
think we were, but okay,
it's-
so now it is in there.
Yeah, there's a sidewalk that goes along the frontage and to connect on the plan south side, it connects to what's existing. And then we've got crosswalk to get across the driveway and then it continues plan north.
Okay, when you come across, that's your property on the south, well, it'd actually be south or western, or eastern, I mean, as you come across your driveway. That will
Yeah.
continue that sidewalk? Or is that,
But then
That's an inset from, there's a match line there at the bottom of the plan that takes up to the
right,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah, we have about 100 and some feet past the driveway that's still ours and we'll have sidewalk.
okay. And then, so really you have sidewalk all around computer and all the way around the rest of it? Was that correct?
Yes, yeah, we've got sidewalk along the entire frontage. on
Okay,
Computer.
now on Maryland, you were not going to. Was that correct?
Correct. So we don't have it on this portion of our frontage on Maryland. We've got ADA ramps and crosswalks to get across the street, and then we are providing it.
Completing that section.
I don't have the
further
plan
down
here.
On the other,
the other property that we own.
okay.
Right.
Do we need anything, Sean, that states that for now, because it's not on site, for that sidewalk that's going down Maryland, another property that they own?
We have a plan that shows it. I don't have it up on.
Well, I'm not saying the plan, I just,
It was part of the conditional use approval, it was a condition. So
okay, it was taken care of there?
By that,
That's
and
good.
Whatever agreements we need as part of the land development reporting process, we're happy to put those in place.
Okay, just as long as it's covered. So, because that will get these people to, hopefully, the trail as it gets completed for Montgomery County. So thank you for offering that other property to do that. Any other questions from the board? Let's move forward. That's three.
No question.
Good. Anybody, the rest of the board? Anybody from general public? Okay, we'll put this on
July 1st.
to move for July 1st. Okay? All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, George. All right, we've done Federal, we've done Blair, we've done Trico, we've done Cloud 9. We're on to old business. We have a plan for the corner of Davisville and York Road, next to the railroad tracks, the property that we own that is parking spaces for there. I think if we all looked at the plan and the numbers on it were higher than what we wanted. So I think we just table this and we'll come back to it. Let's work on some numbers. We want to find out exactly what the township can do themselves and what we would have to go out after to actually bid.
On
Yeah.
the second round of ARPA funding, we did reserve 100,000 again for the downtown.
Yes.
Is that being spent on other things?
This is 132,000.
Yeah, I saw.
So I want to wait and see. It is a good plan. It's deep into the, I think it's 4 spots or 5 spots. I think we're taking up 4 of the spots.
Yeah.
That was one of my questions. There was 12.
4 spots, but you still have 6 or
6 of them. So it's a lot of square footage where I think the concrete or pavers or stamped concrete, whatever we do, that number is what really boosted it up.
Percentage of it. So the stamped concrete, which is more cost effective than pavers. Even at $30 a square foot, is 65,000 of this cost. So if you were to shrink the, amenity space that is the pavers and just put more parking spaces there, there's a potential to get this number down.
It's all the way down
But I don't know, I don't see a lot of other opportunities to provide the same scale of amenities
Right.
within the budget that you have.
I mean, I think it looks nice, and
It looks
Kip, I'm glad that you brought it up. It's important for there in our downtown.
I think it's very important. I think we're going to get some in lieu of money, open space with the last one we just did, Willow Grove
To help pay for it.
Shopping Center. But I don't think we have to rush this and say, we have to find this money right away. I think let's sit back a month. Let's get into it a little more and see if the money's there from somewhere else before we just either trash it because we're 70 or 50% over budget, or if we can come up with the money through something else. Like I looked right away, we got trees in here and stuff. Well, that could be taken out of the tree fund.
You're going to take out the trees?
No, I put the new trees in.
The trees fund, yeah.
But we have a tree fund. So we don't have to have that in this price. Parks and Rec does that. So it's things like that that I think our own in-house might be able to do a good portion of this. Like the trees, we take it out of the tree fund. It doesn't have to be, that's part of the 130,000 right there we could come up with. But I just want to make sure we get it right and money-wise before we make a decision.
Just a comment, Commissioner. The paving costs are not in this either, so the township could do the repaving of the area, but that's not in this calculation.
That's right.
So, and we don't know what that number is yet. It's not going to be a large number.
And that's in-house too, so that's
In-house.
totally different. We would be paving it anyway, being broken up and everything, because it is ours. Instead of paving the whole thing, we might only be paving a portion. So, yeah, I'm just looking at what is our cost, one, because of bidding. Yeah, where are we going to be? Yeah, so, to see what we can do in-house. Okay, so we're going to table that. We'll discuss it more when we get some different ideas on it. Next, we're going right into all of the reports. Code enforcement reports. Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The committee has my May 2024 report. As comparison, I've also included the May 2023 report. I have nothing to add, but be happy to answer any questions the commissioners may have.
That's the only question. In years past, especially during COVID and other times, we had so much vacancies and all that. Are you still getting hounded and worn down from a lot of properties that are not kept up, or has it gotten better?
This time of year is always busy with high grass and weeds. We do have some vacant properties that we are able to reach out. We're getting a response from the property owners, but like true vacant where they just walked away and there's no contact info, we may have one or two.
Yeah. I just know you were burdened a few years ago and a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. There was a lot. We kept our subcontractor busy.
Yeah.
Cutting the lawns and then leaning the property. I mean, it's this time, like I said, this time of year, property maintenance is always,
Okay,
keeps us busy.
good. Any other questions for Paul and Stuart? Any other commissioners? Anybody from the public? Okay. Public Works, Dave Alcier is not here tonight. His report, they're in our books here, so we don't have a way to ask him the questions right now. If you have a question, I'm going to ask Pat. Our new new manager, throw him under the bus. Anybody have anything to bring up that we really have a question on? Okay. And next would be engineer's report and the landscape architect report. Jim?
Yeah, our report for engineering and landscape architecture are in your packets. Be happy to answer any questions.
Is the second student housing project, is that done with you? Are they into warranty stuff and all that?
They are in the 18-month maintenance period.
Okay. I don't have anything else on engineer's report. Do you have anything?
We deal with the car wash?
The car wash?
Yeah.
We did. Jim?
The street tree.
We did the car wash already. You mean for his?
Yeah, we did that first.
Hey, yeah, I'm
Oh, we already
okay.
did that.
Okay.
Okay. Any other commissioner comments? Any public comments? Okay. Traffic engineers report. They are not here either. Anton's not here. The only thing that I know that was new was the Byberry Road thing that they're working on, Byberry and Pioneer. They're submitting it to the state. I guess the other issue is, where are we with the bridge, the culvert coming from Lexus across?
First, we submitted the report for PennDOT to do the study, so that was taken care of last week. All the information and the design is being completed for the culvert. We have the grant. We filled out some paperwork for them. I don't know when that project is to start, but I'll get that status for you and
Okay.
email commissioners.
I just know it's been ongoing and it's been tough to get there, but when you got the grant, it was like, okay, let's do it.
There was some paperwork that we had to fill out to complete the grant process, and that was submitted recently.
All right, East Montgomery County Turnpike Interchange Group. Are you going to those meetings now?
I have been going to those meetings, so I don't have a report for you this month, but I will give you a report next month.
I would say you don't have to put this on the agenda anymore.
Okay.
Unless you have something that you're bringing back, then put it on.
Great.
Environmental Advisory Council.
Still getting over a cold, so try and talk up. So at our last meeting, we talked about topics for for our contribution to the fall newsletter, so I will be writing that shortly. The EAC and library staff also talked and met about getting the feather friendly installed on the library windows. This is kind of a continuing saga. We decided that it would be best to hire someone to do this because obviously Public Works really doesn't have the time. And I happen to know a guy who has a window washing business, and he's done feather friendly before on both my house and on Pennypack Trust. And so we did ask him for an estimate, and we have that, and we believe we can between the EAC and OEEC, we can cover the cost. So we'd like to move ahead with that. And we also discussed a draft design for an additional sign at Pileggi Park that would highlight some of the plants that we planted there that people could put in their own yards. So hopefully they go there and say, oh, that's cool, I want one of those. And then they can buy them at Pennypack Trust. We cleared invasive plants from the dog park wetland, and we will be doing the annual invasive plant removal from Veterans Park Riparian Buffer on Saturday, June 22nd at 9 a.m. And that's it.
I'm sorry, have you contacted Kate to?
Yes,
Okay.
I did. I actually haven't heard back from her, though.
Veterans Park seems like an endless.
Yes, it is.
Maintenance thing, they're back there.
It definitely is.
But thank you for doing that.
All right, any questions?
Any questions from any of the board? Commissioners, any from the public? No, thank you.
All right.
And thank you for you sent me the bird thing for my wife. She did already know about it. Doesn't surprise me. The Historical Commission?
Good evening, Commissioners. My report is in your packets. We had our event on May 18th, and we thank everybody who helps us with that, especially Parks and Rec, who brought all the chairs and the tables, and the farmstead who lent us the tent. And we have several new residents who would like to be on the historical inventory, so that was our point of getting people together. Sometimes the older crowd who have been on it for 15 plus years, are less likely to want to come out and talk about the same things maybe, but new people all the way around. So we have individual reach out to each of those families, and hopefully we'll be before you with that data, and you'll be able to put them on the inventory by passing it here. Our signs, our 12 signs on our downtown, which does extend further out, of course, historical tour. When we all looked at them, there's only about 4 of them that will need that type of adoption where they don't come attached to a building already. I spoke to the people at Station, and they expect that sign will be replaced by us before the end of the year, and they'll be fine with putting anything there that we'd like to do, and they'll maintain it. The same with the church and many of the other places. So when it comes down to it, we'll have a small group, mostly scouts, who will be and it's Scouts of America now, and Girl Scouts, that will be happy to be doing that. And our Police Benevolent Association also said they would want to do the one that's right out here, right next to the police department for now. So they have stood up for that. So I think it will all come down to it all looking the way we'd like it to look, and moving forward, I think it will do what we want to do with the landscaping. We're still looking again on number 3, the Ferguson track. We have come to a grinding halt on wanting to do anything there for the time being, because we just haven't been able to get a hold of landowners who'd be willing to give us that information back yet, though we have reached out to them. And we'll continue to want to do that if we can find someone who can answer whether they would be willing to come back and approve it for themselves. Again, that would be a historical sign in the way the Pennsylvania historical signs look. That would just say this is a suburban track, and it would reflect what they do in Lansdowne, which I think I presented that picture to you before, that they did a similar thing out there. We did ask that Public Works would remove, talking about the building earlier tonight, there's a historical sign for Memorial Hall that's in one of the garden boxes, as I call them, that faces Easton Road at Park. And it's just weeds, and I know there's nothing really Paul can do about the weeding boxes. They're not keeping that little bit of land they have, up to snuff on that corner. So it just looks like an abandoned thing sticking out of a box. It's not anything you can read any longer. The sun has destroyed the sign fairly well. So I'm hoping that Public Works will pull it out, and maybe we could work with Federal Realty to do something in that general area, but on their property. I'm not sure how that would be without Public Works here, David, tonight, but that should go.
So you just want it removed for now?
Just for now. The actual, and we're going to work with the Historical Association and simply replacing that. I think that Commissioner Skull, you know perhaps more about that sign and the history of it. And it's quite well written and quite complete. And so we would just really have to replace that eventually somewhere. And if we can't use that land, then effectively, then maybe we'll have to choose something closer to a Federal Realty side of things going forward. I don't know what's going to happen to the old bank. I wish we could come up with somebody who would want to do something wonderful with it, but maybe not. I don't know, but.
We would love to see it.
Yes, yes.
It was a spectacular building that was there.
It was, and was. I'm glad we have the copper bug off the side of it. I appreciate that the Historical Association has.
The home of Post 306, the American Legion, and my wife's brothers and father marched in the parade every year. During World War II, there was a tower on the top for the Ground Observer Corps who were waiting for the bombers.
Yes, there was. I keep reminding people the pieces of it are around, you know, like the cannon that we all climbed on, if you're as old as I am. Yes, is up at the American Legion. And we're going to try to do the QR coding before the end of this year and work with the Peter Wentz Farmhouse that came down to look at our asset in Masons Mill Park, because they do have, as I mentioned before, an audio tour that you can use as an app for the Peter Wentz Farmhouse. And it's fairly extensive. And so we don't have to create the wheel with our own audio approach here. So we're going to reach out to them to do that. And let's see, other than that, the root cellar itself, are we going to be able to, Mr. Manager, go forward?
I think we're waiting for the recommendation to come in writing from the Peter Wentz Farm folks. Didn't they want to fill it with sand, if
I had mentioned in an email to Katie that they said any sand would do. You don't use the kind of poly, I'm sorry, what's the right word, people? The ones that are in my bricks on my front walkway, that's not the sand you use, because that obviously is meant to do that. But anything else that you can pull out, like off the beach.
So last I talked to Kate, she wanted something in writing. I think it was on its way, or she may have gotten it.
Okay.
We did talk to Public Works. We can do the work. We don't believe we're going to put the plate under the blacktop because it wouldn't adhere well. So we're going to fill it with sand, close the door off, fill that area, and then blacktop over top. So.
Okay, and then we'll deal with the additional signage for that area, and yeah. So we'll make the asset known to people. We haven't, so many pictures. We need our own YouTube channel for everything that has been done with that. But it was a lot of fun, and we got to know people. And Region 3, which is the county, Region 3 out of Lermar Park, has been so helpful. And they would be willing to come in and talk to us about anything historical, whether it's public property or private property as well. So that's a good connection that we've been able to make throughout this whole process. Very cool. So any questions, any comments?
Any questions?
October 27th, mark your calendars now, people. It's spookiness at the farmstead yet again. And we'll see how that all goes. But, you know, Jackie Sharpinski's working really hard on that project already. So pay attention.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other visitor comments? Commissioner comments? We're adjourned.
Well done.
Guys, I will not be here in July.